Whether you discovered it through a friend or stumbled upon those lonely anime characters on endless repeat, chances are, if you're watching this video, lo-fi music has infiltrated your life in one way or another for the better. With its meteoric rise over the past decade, many of us can't even imagine what studying, sleeping, or relaxing was like before those angelic looping beats took over our periphery. Now, for those who don't know, lo-fi hip-hop is a music genre that blends elements of hip-hop with low-fidelity production techniques to create a raw, infectiously nostalgic and dreamy sound. Pause. Sorry, I just have to talk about the nostalgia factor a bit more. The genre has an incredibly nostalgic aura about it. Concatenated with looped vintage anime and a grainy filter, you won't just be feeling nostalgic, you'll be sunken in it. And for my money, nostalgia is one, if not the most addictive feeling out there. And just like any drug, it ends with a sobering crash knowing those good times are gone. The term lo-fi is short for low fidelity, which means that the music is intentionally created with low quality of sound recording or production, often with the use of vintage or analog equipment. Now, that might have been taken more in a literal sense in the inception of the genre, with the primary producers being those who would piece together tracks at home without access to professional equipment. Nowadays, with the beauty of technology, you can make a studio-sounding track from the comfort of your bedroom. So, to many of us, the term lo-fi has evolved into a vibe, a mood, a sense of warmth and authenticity that is often absent from highly polished and pristine recording. You get a level of intimacy with lo-fi you can't find anywhere else. The beauty lies in its imperfections, however purposeful they may be. The hip-hop element is characterized by its rhythmic beat, spoken word lyrics, and the art of sampling from other musical genres. In essence, lo-fi hip-hop is a subgenre of hip-hop that emphasizes a relaxed and contemplative atmosphere through its lo-fi production techniques, often incorporating jazz, soul, and ambient music elements, and purposeful imperfections. Let me backtrack a little, because right at the start, I purposely missed out a fundamental influence that got a lot of young teens, including myself at the time, into lo-fi hip-hop.
So easy, tell me, how is your life as a youngster?
Ruthless, my style is a juvenile, ran with a gang, slanged in the meanwhile, banking. I specialize in ganking, white, Mexican brothers and others daily. It's all about coming up, making sure no punks are running up. Because I'm a gangster having fun, strapped with the gat when I'm walking through Compton, terrible. I never listened to my mother, it went in one ear and out the other. Ran my gang, sold undercover.
Samurai Champloo was the brainchild of Shinichiro Watanabe, the acclaimed creator behind the iconic anime series Cowboy Bebop. Watanabe had a vision to create a samurai story with a modern twist, fusing the vibrant energy of hip-hop culture with traditional Japanese elements. With a talented team of animators, writers, and musicians, Watanabe set out to create a new kind of anime that would push the boundaries of storytelling and animation. Now, what is art without collaboration, am I right? Watanabe recruited 4 different Japanese hip-hop acts to create the soundtrack, namely Tsuchi, Force of Nature, Fat John, and who could forget Nujabes. The music for Champloo prominently featured samples of jazz, soul, funk, symphonic music, and more. Sound familiar? The score also features guest vocalists such as Shingo 2, Minmi, and Kazami. When the show premiered in 2004, it took the anime world by storm, and whether it knew it or not at the time, it would alter the landscape of this subgenre of hip-hop forever in perpetuity. The genre may have officially started back in the late 80s and early 90s, but the truth of the matter is that it wouldn't be where it is today without the kismet pairing of Samurai Champloo and Nujabes. So let's dive deeper into how this anime, artists, and music genre coalesce. But first, we must answer the question, who exactly was Nujabes? Hashimoto here. If you enjoy any and all of this video, I'd like to kindly request if you could like and subscribe. Helps me out tremendously, and hey, it's free. Peace.
Samurai Champloo.
Seba Jun, known by his stage name Nujabes, was a Tokyo-born Japanese record producer, audio engineer, DJ, composer, and arranger. Not much is known of his early life, as the man was known to keep to himself and let his music speak for him. Love that. He was, however, known to be an avid music lover from a young age, and would end up owning a few record stores himself and starting his own independent label by the name of Hideout Productions. He released 2 studio albums in his lifetime, along with a plethora of collaborative projects and 1 LP released after his untimely death in 2010. But nothing would catapult his legacy further than working on the hit anime Samurai Champloo. Along with his contributions to the fan favorite opening and ending, the anime would herald arguably his most notable track in Aruerian dance.
一つのところに命をかける。そうだ。今ここを生きていけばみんな生き生きするぞ。
Surprisingly, having only made an appearance 2 times throughout the entire anime, it was more than enough to have fans hooked for a lifetime. Aduarian is not a word found in any classical dictionary, but you see definitions scattered across urban dictionaries with meanings ranging from uncontrollable love and people who are born Aquarius. But for my money, the best theory I've seen is that it's an anglicized backwards form of this adverb. Nujabes is backwards for Sebajun after all. The seemingly simple and serene tune has a very fascinating and lengthy origin story, dating back more than a century. Via numerous samples and covers, it finally made its way to Aduarian dance. This unique ability of Nujabes to sample aged material and transform it into something new, unique, and most importantly, him, was what separated him from the rest. He very much took inspiration from the hip-hop art of sampling, and not only adopted it, but became the aficionado. Nujabes was known to rummage through record bins for hours at a time in the record stores of Shibuya, allowing his knowledge of old era jazz, soul, and funk to be unrivaled. And the effects show. You will seldom find a lo-fi hip-hop track today which doesn't feature some sort of sampling. Nujabes was a sampling god. He had an eclectic ear to hear out tunes that just aligned with the heartbeat so perfectly and calm one's breathing. Let's just say, if I ever have a panic attack, I know who I'm listening to. Not only was his music something that his fans could relate to, but also his entire demeanor.
I'm just ordinary guy, but
And that's what made people gravitate to him and his music. He never did anything for fame or fortune, was just a dude who loved the art of music. He started creating music because he wanted to hear songs that sampled the old soul and jazz he always listened to. Beyond his undeniable talent as a musician, Nujabes was a visionary who embraced the power of collaboration and cultivated a vibrant artistic community, from the artists he featured on his label to the millions of artists who would go on to name drop him and quote him as their inspiration. His music was one of one, but prior to 2004, there was still something missing to take Nujabes to the title of Godfather of Lo-Fi Hip-Hop.
Samurai Champloo. 1, 2, 3.
Samurai Champloo was released in May of 2004 and took the world by storm. To this day, it ranks highly among the top anime of all time and has a huge and dedicated fanbase. The story simply follows 3 unlikely compatriots, Mugen, Jin, and Fu, who set off on a voyage to find the samurai who smells of sunflowers. It's an episodic adventure that highlights the importance to appreciate the journey, not just the destination. A real love letter to friendship, stressing the message to enjoy the little things, the simple things, and especially the edible things. Shinichiro Watanabe states, "When I first come up with the idea of what I'm going to create, quite often the music appears at the same time. So with Samurai Champloo, it wasn't that I had the story in mind and then added hip-hop to it. When I came up with the character of Mugen, I heard hip-hop at the same time, and I thought he was going to be a rapper samurai. The concept of hip-hop influenced me rather than the music itself. For example, it's sampling. This art form turns past music into new and edgy music. So I decided to sample the exciting part of the old genre called jidaigeki, Japanese historical drama, and make it into new, edgy animation." So what led Watanabe to seek out Nujabes, you might ask? He was a fan. He mentions how the sampling felt distinctive. It was melodic. Whilst listening, images of the eventual anime seemed to come to his mind. Watanabe says, "That's what I thought was so different from the other producers. Normally, film music is just a supporting role. I wanted the music to be more prominent, so that the music and visuals would compete in a 50-50 ratio, or even more in the favor of music. For that to happen, the music has to have power and be of a quality that can compete with the visuals. In that sense, Nujabes was the best choice in hip-hop."
Samurai Champloo.
The term Champloo is a play at the Okinawan word Chanpurū, which translates to mix, specifically in relation to an Okinawan stir-fry dish. Okinawa is part of the island chain known as Ryukyu Islands. Coincidentally enough, our boisterous main character, Mugen, hails from one of these islands. Things are really starting to connect now, aren't they? That's just the surface of how interconnected Watanabe and co. have made the show, taking ingredients of hip-hop and samurai culture into the delicious amalgamation which is this anime. Most of these references of culture mixing aren't hidden in the slightest, and that's exactly the precedent that Watanabe set from the get-go. This wasn't an attempt of creating a period piece. It was to create something new and fresh from the coolest parts of both of these cultures. There are scenes of rapping, beatboxing, disc scratching. The episode names are all in alliteration, and instead of using part 2, they say verse 2 sometimes. This idea of edgy outcast characters over a canvas of peaceful Edo Japan. The Edo period was between 1603 and 1868 and was characterized by perpetual peace and cultivation of arts and culture. What more do I have to say than the idea of lo-fi hip-hop is exactly that? The culture of punchy hip-hop layered over a bedding of peaceful beats. I mean, what else would you listen to when admiring this gorgeous animation? Mugen is the literal love child of the show's overlooming concept come into fruition. Out of our lead trio, he's our thematic main character for sure. The clothes he wears are baggy and loose-fitting, highly reminiscent of the hip-hop inspired fashion of the late 90s and early 2000s. He constantly uses slang in his speech. He adorns eyebrow slits, tattoos, and bejeweled earrings. Your boy is a certified fucking playa and the freshest anime character I've ever seen. But don't forget, he's also a badass samurai. Immediately in his introduction, Mugen flows with the tempo of the music as he kicks ass. His fighting style is highly unorthodox and unpredictable, resembling old school b-boy breakdancing. Dude's doing the martial arts equivalent of freestyling. Jay Dilla, another name on the Mount Rushmore of lo-fi hip-hop, cultivated a music production style which would use purposely offbeat drum patterns to make the music sound more convoluted and natural. On the same note as that of Mugen's fighting style, it's unconventional and new, unique to himself. Mugen happened to be born into an underprivileged society of criminals. His natural attitude and action to rebel isn't dissimilar to those of popular hip-hop artists, those who also came from rough backgrounds and chose to express their rebellion through their music. The absolutely hilarious example of this point vocalized is that Mugen only knows how to read one word: no.
これはのだ。これとこれものだ。
Our three main characters each embody different elements of lo-fi hip-hop, reflecting the genre's essence in their personalities and journeys. Mugen represents the raw and gritty energy often found in hip-hop. Just as lo-fi music embraces imperfections and purposeful distortions, Mugen embodies an unrefined and impulsive nature. He echoes the lo-fi aesthetic, which embraces rawness and unconventional approaches. Jin embodies the calm and introspective side of lo-fi. His reserved demeanor, precise sword technique, and thoughtful actions reflect the genre's contemplative and atmospheric qualities. Jin's composed nature aligns with the pensive and mellow vibes often found in lo-fi music, evoking a sense of tranquility and reflection. Fu, well, she represents the heart and soul of lo-fi hip-hop. Her spirited and optimistic personality, along with her relentless pursuit of finding the samurai who smells of sunflowers, reflects the genre's positive and inspiring elements, exactly like the uplifting melodies and warm samples found in lo-fi music. Fu brings a sense of hope and positivity to the group, providing a counterbalance to the darker elements of their journey. Together, the trio's diverse characteristics create a synergy that mirrors the multidimensional nature of lo-fi hip-hop. Collaboration is a variable of artistic production that the creator held in high regard. The collaborative process is what truly creates something beautiful, and not just from like-minded collaborators, but ones that are as polar opposite as they come. Only then can you cultivate something that parallels the richness of Samurai Champloo. I'm sure all of us regular listeners are now accustomed to the trope of lo-fi hip-hop streams or videos incorporating popular anime characters as their backgrounds. These range from Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, a surprising amount of The Simpsons, and Ghibli characters, with the most popular of those being the legendary Lo-Fi Girl, previously known as Chilled Cow. The now redesigned Studious Girl was built off the mold of a short scene from the 1995 film Whisper of the Heart, in which we see our main character Shizuku attempting to write her first story. Whisper of the Heart literally has my heart. It's my favorite Ghibli movie of all time for 1,000,001 reasons. And it was those periodic short glances to the Lo-Fi Girl livestream whilst deep in my studies on late nights that makes this genre that much more meaningful to me. Lo-Fi hip-hop and anime have forever been two sides of the same coin, inseparable, and I believe the origin of their union was none other than Samurai Champloo. The influence that Nujabes and Samurai Champloo left is staring at you right in the ears. Right now, almost exclusively, I use lo-fi hip-hop music as a background of my videos, not only because I'm the genre's #1 fan, but because it's the mood that I crave for my viewers to experience when watching my videos. To be comfortable, at peace, forget about the world for a second, and enjoy a nerd talking about something that tickled his fancy. The name Mugen means without limitation. Incidentally, the character writes his name using the infinity symbol, a pun on his name, which is a homophone for the Japanese word for eternity. When the moment does finally come, and it's all over and done with, you've reached the precipice of your voyage, closures are in order. But when the dust settles, your mind can't accept the ending of such a beautiful journey. The tune of your tale is replaying in your head like a broken record. The loop has you in an addictive trance, but the length of loop that you desire is never enough. 1 hour, 10 hour, 1,000. If only it could be infinite.